As John Donne once said, no man is an island. You will have multiple relationships in your lifetime with romantic partners, friends, family, and colleagues. Relationships are complex, but for the most part, a good relationship makes you feel secure, happy, cared for, respected, and free to be yourself. Most people question at one point or another, am I in a healthy relationship? Are they right for me? Is our fighting normal? Are we happy together? The answer is unique to the relationship. But one thing is universally true. Everyone goes through tough times. Disagreements, misunderstandings, and bad moods are just part of life and part of being human. But sometimes these rough patches are not so occasional. When the bad starts to outweigh the good, you may wonder, am I in a toxic relationship? Toxic relationships make you feel drained, depressed, and insecure. Do you have relationship doubts, but tell yourself not to make a big deal out of nothing? Then it's possible you might be in a toxic relationship. In this video, you'll learn about 10 behaviors and all their signs to help you recognize if you are in an unhealthy relationship. We'll even give you some really useful tips to help you test if you are with someone toxic. There are lots of red flags to look out for. Some are well known and obvious, but there are lots of very subtle and surprising clues. While many relationships may display one or two of these, toxic relationships will often feature multiple alarm bells. Watch until the end of this video to get clued up and save yourself from heartbreak. At number 1, we have high highs, low lows. A trademark sign of an unhealthy relationship is that the people involved feel a very intense attraction towards each other despite their mutually destructive behaviors. Are you in a cycle of never-ending drama with highs and lows, but tell yourself it's exciting and passionate like fireworks? Do you feel rushes of energy when they call or text, or when you meet them? When they leave, do you feel bored or restless? Have you ever gotten home from being with them and suddenly felt sick? Do you argue fiercely and make up passionately? Do you or the other person make grand gestures after intense fights? These can all be flags of an unhealthy relationship where you constantly jump between extreme opposite emotions. If you answered yes, I'm sorry to tell you that you could be in a toxic relationship. Happy relationships improve your life. They don't make it messier. This is ultimately draining and a sign that you are mistaking dysfunction and pain for real feelings of love and support. Which brings us to number 2, codependency. Do you find yourself being a very helpful person in some of your relationships? Codependency is more than just helping a loved one. If you are ignoring your own needs and focusing your energy on constantly supporting and validating a person who gives you nothing back, you are in a codependent relationship. These unhealthy boundaries and imbalance will leave you feeling drained. Still unsure if this applies to you? Try this. Set a timer to go off once an hour, and when it goes off, be honest. What were you thinking about? Is it that person and their problems most of the time? If this person is not a positive force in your life, that is a huge red flag. In some codependent relationships, the toxic person will take the role of the victim. Picture this. They say that they've had a troubled life and haven't maintained other close relationships. The reasons they fell out with family and friends always seem to be someone else's fault. This makes you the most important and only relationship in their life. They say you are all they have, so you feel personally responsible for them and their happiness. They might even imply that without you, they will take their own life, and suddenly you have a sense of being entrapped in the relationship. If this sounds familiar, you could be in an unhealthy, codependent relationship. Another sign of this is number 3, communication issues. While healthy couples resolve friction through compassionate communication, other couples find themselves struggling. Do you find that conversations where you express your feelings always lead to arguments? People in unhealthy relationships usually get defensive and blame each other instead of taking responsibility or acknowledging that the other person has some valid points. When you disagree with toxic people, it's their way or the highway, and your emotions are dismissed as not important, or they'll call you crazy. They can even try to force your decisions by quickly escalating to ultimatums and threatening to break up. This breakdown in communication can make you feel like you can't get their attention when you want to talk about something important, or that you can't turn to them for emotional support. This can make communication feel scary, so some people start avoiding it altogether and start showing signs of the next unhealthy behavior. Number 4. Stonewalling. Confrontation is scary for most people, and it's easy to use excuses like "it's not worth it" or "it's not important." But if either of you regularly avoid communicating your concerns just to get by or not rock the boat, resentment will build and stress will multiply. For example, flat out refusing to talk about major life decisions like having a baby will inevitably lead to bitterness and animosity. Sometimes airing your opinions is the only way to resolve a dispute, even if there is a bit of conflict in the middle. Facing the truth is a hard but necessary step in building a strong relationship, and avoiding this is one of the signs of an unhealthy relationship. Smiles don't always mean everything is okay. Number 5. Lack of stability and dependability. If you can't rely on someone, what is the point in the relationship? If a relationship can't be reassuring, it's failing a crucial test. A sign of relationship instability in romantic situations is when you've broken up or almost broken up numerous times. If breaking up is one of the first things you think instead of working together during conflict, your relationship is unstable and you can't rely on each other. Do they make jokes about leaving you or tease you about what their second partner will be like? This is sending a clear message that your future together is blurry and you can't depend on them to be around when things get tough. They might even be the type of person who goes out but doesn't tell you where, or comes home late without any explanation. Do you trust them to be reliable in situations where and when you really need them? For example, if you or a close member got cancer, would you turn to them for emotional support? Another example could be that your life together is out of control. Maybe you both encourage each other to spend more than you earn. Try to think about how you influence each other and whether you make a good team. If you can't think of any ways you've positively influenced each other, but find negative influences like harmful habits or laziness, neglecting your work, heavy drinking or drugs, it means you are bringing out the worst in each other. Or maybe they are the source of negative surprises because they don't talk to you about important decisions, like large unexpected charges on your joint credit card. These are signs that this relationship is chaotic and unhealthy, making a positive future together very unlikely. This type of behavior is a catalyst for number 6, dishonesty. Trust is the foundation of a positive relationship. Lying and other deceptive behaviors break the core of a relationship, so everything built on it is fragile and tainted. I'm not talking about white lies like "I love your cooking." That is very different from sinister and consistent dishonesty. Do you catch them lying all the time? Are they unreliable? Do they lie about things like where they've been, how much money they've spent, or who they spent their time with? Do they cheat on you? These are all major red flags, and at the end of the day, a relationship without trust is like a car without gas. You can stay in it all you want, but it won't go anywhere. Another serious sign of an unhealthy relationship is number 7, abuse. When we use the term abuse, many will think about violent abuse straight away. Violence and constant anger are indeed sure signs of an unhealthy relationship. You should never have to be around hostility or people that make you feel unsafe. But abuse can also be more subtle, like mental or emotional abuse, which is actually more common but harder to recognize. A lot of people in toxic relationships dismiss or downplay emotional and mental abuse because they don't think it's as bad as physical abuse. But the consequences of this can actually be more damaging and long-lasting. Some signs of this are when a person does not respect your boundaries, like when you say no to something. Instead of accepting your answer, they will try to coerce you or force you to do it anyway. They might involve you in criminal activities, such as lying on official forms you both sign. This is a way of trapping you in the relationship by blackmailing you to gain control, and it's easy to feel like you have no way out. This is a specific behavior, which brings us to number 8, control and manipulation. Controlling behavior can be hard to identify at the beginning, but it usually gets worse as time goes on. A toxic person will try to isolate you from other people in your life so that they are the only thing you have left. It starts with them trying to convince you that there are certain things you should do for your own good, and you might not even be aware that it's happening. These can be things like how you should dress, where you can and can't go, how late to stay out, or who you can and can't see. It can feel like your own decision, but the person has manipulated you into feeling shame and tricked you into doing exactly what they want. When you are being manipulated, you can start to doubt yourself because they make you second-guess your memory of something that happened, or they downplay your feelings, causing you to question if you're overreacting. They turn the story around to make it seem like you are at fault, deflecting attention and blame away from them to make you feel guilty. This type of emotional manipulation is called gaslighting. A huge sign of this is after talking to them, you regularly ask yourself, am I crazy? Am I being too sensitive? Am I wrong? Trusting the judgment of others over your own and questioning your sanity are all signs of control and manipulation, which can feed number 9, insecurity. Everyone has insecurities. People in your life should not make them worse. Toxic relationships can leave you feeling like you're not good enough and don't deserve any better. They can do this in lots of ways, like implying that you are stupid or that they are the smart one. They make you feel bad by mocking your voice or pointing out things like weight gain, thinning hair, or saggy skin. They can even blame you for things that are going wrong in their life and make your accomplishments feel small by belittling them or not taking an interest so that you feel less important. These signs can be more subtle, like joking about how you talk too much or even a casual observation about your outdated wardrobe. Is it really just harmless conversation, or is this teasing and constructive criticism actually verbal abuse in disguise? Do you feel like you're not good enough because they seem to compare you negatively to other people, like their friends and family? They might see themselves as being above your league, implying that you are lucky to have them. Do you feel like you can't talk to them about your feelings because you're not sure they would react respectfully or helpfully? If you feel less confident than when you first met that person and feeling like you can't do anything right, have you maybe thought that maybe it's the relationship that is all wrong? All these behaviors and signs can leave people feeling exhausted and burnt out, which brings us to the final point. Number 10, disconnect. Unhealthy relationships take a serious toll on people's mental health, self-worth, and energy, which all lead to a feeling of disconnect. This can be a disconnect from logical thinking, a disconnect with people around you, even healthy relationships, a disconnect within yourself, and even a disconnect with the world. Signs of this include lying to other people because you are irrationally scared of being judged, or feeling lonely when you are with other people, including the toxic person. If you live with that person, there might be times you avoid going home because going into a bar is more relaxing after a stressful day than going home to them. Now you know the 10 signs of an unhealthy relationship. If you recognize these signs in your relationship, now is the time to reevaluate. The last thing anyone needs is a toxic relationship. If someone is constantly making you unhappy, you owe it to yourself to let that person go and recognize it's impossible for anything positive to come out of a relationship filled with negativity. Keeping an eye out for these unhealthy patterns of behavior can help you avoid toxic people in future too. Make sure you share this video with the positive people in your life so you can help them recognize the signs if they need to. Which signs did you recognize in someone you know? Did you recognize any in yourself? Do you have any thoughts or signs you would like to share? Leave a comment and tell us about your experiences or opinions on this video below. If this video helped you or you liked it, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.